Check, check, mic, check. We are out here in the ethers, speaking once again and finally on the Awakening Audiobiography series by yours truly, in my attempt to share information about my personal awakening process, which may or may not be helpful to you. Disclaimer: everybody's journey is different. Period. What I hope gets illuminated through this podcast season is that all of our journeys are different and that there seem to be common threads, themes between us that we do share. And so if I am, quote unquote, ahead in the journey, I hope that what I offer brings wisdom that can serve you along your path. And if I am, quote unquote, behind, if we're looking linearly, then maybe this will serve you in some other way. But when we look at a non-linear perspective, it's likely that I am ahead in some ways and behind in others, and that you are ahead in some ways and behind in others, but it doesn't even matter if we're ahead or behind because everything is relative to our own personal experience. And where we are, wherever we are, is fine. Thank you for listening to my disclaimer. We have covered a lot in this series, which has been 16 episodes. This is episode 16, the final one of podcast season 2 on Light Diamond's creative YouTube channel. If you know my name, it's Martha. If you don't know my name, please, I encourage you to check out the previous episodes and even the previous and initial podcast season, which was about meditation, the science behind it, and perspectives of the effects of meditation on the individual and collective bodies, especially diving into the 9 chakra system. Shout out to Vajra Darshan for the sacred information of the 9 chakra system that he translated to me almost 6 years ago. In any case, the Awakening Audiobiography has built upon that first season about meditation to discuss my own journey and how I have awakened through it. I think that all of us face difficulties in our lives. We all encounter challenges, and that isn't a bad thing. It is an opportunity to grow. We all will experience grief at some point or many points, likely many. And we also experience deceit. We experience the disillusionment of what we once thought to be true. There are so many aspects of this human experience that people have written books and books and books and books about. And in this podcast series, we've talked about addiction and drugs and awakening. We've talked about awakening to death. We've talked about telepathy and the powers of the mind. We've talked about that phrase, the dark night of the soul. We've talked about how that can awaken creativity even as we search for alternative coping mechanisms to hard drugs. Sometimes the awakening process is so challenging that what makes or breaks us is the way we choose to cope, the way we choose to handle ourselves, and the way we choose to see the world. If we decide to make the best of it, if we decide to use healthy coping mechanisms like writing, like creating art, like meditating, like exercising, like eating well. You know, there are all sorts of ways to cope positively, which positively enhance the awakening experience and give us healthy ways of dealing with a new perspective and growing perspectives on reality itself. We've talked about near-death experiences. We've talked about visions and intuition. We've talked about meditation and dreams and healing from PTSD. We've talked about alignment. What even is that? It's beyond the physical, and the physical helps. They all blend together. We've talked about consumption, food, plastic. I know some of y'all may be like, oh, don't even come at me about the food. I'm not going to quit doing what I'm doing now. But it's a journey, and it's okay wherever you are. This is just where I've been. And my food journey personally has been going back to foods that grow from the earth and are not synthetic and are not chemically altered. And this consumption of food does affect the awakening process because it connects us to the earth, brings us in alignment, in tune with the spirit of the earth, which assists us in perceiving the truth and reality. And I'm ahead of myself because, some of this we're gonna get into in this episode, which is really a set of tips I would like to give to you that will assist your awakening journey. We've also talked about minimalism and body hair and non-consumerism and non-materialism and why these things can be good for the awakening spirit. In an episode way back in the beginning, I repeated a quote, which is that something along the lines of, achieving enlightenment now is difficult, especially because of materialism and hyper-consumerism. These material distractions that often are part of our coping habits, which distract us from truly perceiving reality and engaging with it in a healthy way. For me, awakening is about a certain amount of realizations about the planet and how tied we are to it, and that taking care of it matters. And the answers that we seek when we go out to buy this thing we must have because I'll feel better when I have it. And then we get it. Well, I still have that feeling. I'll feel better when I get that other material item. And it doesn't help. I still have that feeling. Well, maybe when I get that other thing, it'll help. But really, the answer lies in consuming less and connecting with the earth to heal whatever the problem is that is causing someone to be so uncomfortable with themselves and what they have that they feel the need to continuously consume more and more, and how this relates to the post-industrial American programming of keeping up with the Joneses and worthiness around money. There are so many energetic cords that are tangled, and it does take a certain amount of persistence and attention to detail and awareness and consistency to untangle all of the energetic cords that lead to, on a large scale, a disruptive society at war. If we deal with the energetic cords within and do our personal detangling, this affects the collective at large into a life experience of collective peace. What I would really like to talk about today are some of the methods that I have intentionally awakened with. First of all, Decalcifying the Pineal Gland. This is the wrap-up episode. This is what you need to know. Practices that you can take home with you to assist in your own awakening. How do we decalcify the pineal gland? And what even is the pineal gland? I have to say, as someone who has a biology degree and went to an incredible university, the pineal gland was never talked about, even within the degree that was biology. Even within the class that was animal physiology. The pineal gland was ignored. It was never talked about. I never came across the pineal gland in my scholastic studies. While I consider that a disservice and disempowering, and perhaps even intentionally disempowering, I know that we receive information when we are ready for it, and sometimes the best way to receive it is in the real world and from spirit itself. So I was fortunate to come across information about the pineal gland in 2019 before shit hit the fan. The pineal gland is a gland in the brain, and what I've read is that it is in the back third of the brain, above the column of the neck, and that this gland plays a really important role in the circadian rhythm, secreting serotonin, secreting melatonin, secreting DMT. When the pineal gland is calcified or hardened, and the pineal gland has small crystals in it. See Dr. Joe Dispenza. When the pineal gland becomes calcified, the physical body is not as capable of perceiving the nuances within the environment, internally and externally. The body is not as capable of detecting the subtleties of the energetic realm. And it can greatly serve us to intentionally decalcify the pineal gland so that we can become more aware of what is truly happening within and outside of us. I'm talking about outside of us when we're walking down the street. I'm talking about what's outside of us when we are amidst a culture at war, in a global circumstance of upheaval. I'm talking about heightened awareness on all levels because of a physical gland in the body, in the brain, decalcifying and returning to normal function. Function that is so important that it would be largely ignored in major universities to keep people from being empowered fully to their full potential. Because if we knew our full potential, if we are fully tapped in, there is no way we would put up with this bullshit. How can we decalcify the pineal gland? Step 1, toothpaste that does not have fluoride in it. Fluoride contributes to the calcification of the pineal gland. I know some of y'all like this is sounding pretty conspiracy theory. Part of the awakening process is realizing that not everyone is here to serve your best interest. Part of the awakening process is realizing that there are those who would take advantage of your disempowerment to the point of it becoming largely collectively acceptable to use a daily product such as fluoride toothpaste to keep you from your true power of awareness. We brush our teeth, hopefully, 2 times a day, maybe 3. We'll say 1 to 3. The input of that fluoride has a direct effect on the calcification of the pineal gland. Swap toothpaste. This is tip number 1. Basics. Start consuming toothpaste that is fluoride free. You're not going to find it at Walmart. Probably. I don't know. Maybe Walmart's branching out. You're going to find it at the natural health food stores. It will clearly state fluoride-free toothpaste. Stop putting fluoride in your body and help the pineal gland decalcify. Now, unfortunately, the toothpaste is not the only thing that fluoride is in. Water sources that we drink from are important. The quality of water matters. If it has certain chemicals in it, if it has heavy metals in it, if it is acidic or alkaline, these matter. And before the Industrial Revolution and before we started abusing the planet, our natural water in the streams and rivers was clean enough to drink. Straight up. Now we're encountering a different environment, and the water largely is having problems. And much of the water that we drink is contaminated. And so, fortunately, due to different technological advances when it comes to water drinking, we have purifiers that are able to restructure the water and set it at a certain pH. And if we are drinking the amount of water that is recommended per day, which is about 2.5 liters, then we realize we need to find a source of water clean enough that we can bring home with us or have a source at home that creates a lot of this clean, purified, alkaline water to help our bodies reset, because the contaminants within the water that we've been drinking, or let's just expand it to liquid in general, the contaminants within the liquid we consume matters. I'm sorry, if you're drinking the soda, it's contaminated. Look at the ingredients. Some of them are synthetic. That stuff is poison. There are natural alternatives. I'm someone that loves a good carbonated drink. Okay, there are natural alternatives of healthy fluids that we can put into our body. We got to get the poison out. We got to get the good stuff in. And water, purified, alkaline, structured water is medicine. We are more than 70% water. Everything about us has a large percentage of water. The electrical messages of the brain and the nervous system get communicated across water to every cell in the body. There are 40 trillion approximately. All of these cells receiving information through electric current, through messages that get sent to specific glands that send messages to other glands. The water quality matters. And in the awakening process, in our search to find clean water to put in ourselves, we realize how important it is for us to stop polluting our water in the earth. Stop polluting the rivers. Stop polluting the creeks. Stop polluting every source of water that runs into the ocean. Stop polluting. How important it is. And we realize that out of the selfish and positive love that we give ourselves in this awakening process, we need clean water to drink. And therefore, the water outside of us must be clean. And who is going to clean it? How are we going to clean it? And we must do that. How else can we decalcify the pineal gland? Intentional breathing exercises help. Practicing breathing patterns and techniques will help to activate the pineal gland. Some of these breathing practices like square breathing, some of these breathing practices like repeating mantras on the exhale, breathing in, repeating mantras on the exhale, breathing in. These help to activate the pineal gland. Meditation helps to activate the pineal gland, partially because of the breathing, partially because of the activity in the brain, partially because the general activated awareness that meditation gifts us. I mentioned earlier that part of the pineal gland's role is to assist in a healthy circadian rhythm through its melatonin and serotonin production, secretion. Okay, people, this is a take home. You've got the fluoride-free toothpaste, you've got the purified alkaline water, you've got the intentional breathing practices, and here's a big one, screens. Oh no, not screens, no! Yep, I'm saying it. The phone screen, the TV screen, the computer screen. We have really gone off the deep end with the screen use. I would even dare say it's screen abuse. This is why. We'll go into two routes. One of them because of the blue light from the screens. 2, the programming that is coming through the screens. All right, here we go. The blue light that comes through the screens. If we're looking at the screens for more than 4 hours per day, and probably even before that, we really weren't looking at screens like this until the computers were made the way that they are, which, what is the date on that? But I know that I got a phone in 8th grade. Really not part of our collective human experience until more recently. The blue screens affect the circadian rhythm and the output of melatonin and serotonin from the pineal gland. And so it really benefits us to take intentional breaks from the phone, intentional breaks from the computer, intentional breaks from the TV. I went a little bit on the extreme side. I've really not largely watched TV since 2010. Just too much to do. Going through college, being a student athlete, I watched TV a little bit, but really not a lot. And then getting rid of the TV and getting rid of Wi-Fi within the home. These are not inconsequential. It is energy. If we look at it all as energy, the presence of that in the home. And now we're seeing with the AI, many of us thought, and we were fooled that the best technology about AI would be that we'd get to see ourselves look old. We would get to see ourselves in epic cartoon variations. And yeah, it got us. That's not what AI is for. The AI in the Wi-Fi can detect the movement of humans by using and measuring and reading the electromagnetic frequencies to the point it doesn't need a camera. It is reading frequencies through the Wi-Fi. But that's more on the surveillance end of things. When it comes to the pineal gland, if we detach ourselves from the phones and the TV and the computer screens more, just basic effect would be having better sleep and wake cycles, let alone the decalcification of the pineal gland that results in a greater awareness of reality and the subtle energetic realms. Let's just hit the programming for a moment. Listen, the subconscious remembers all of it to the point where like, it remembers all of it, but it also holds all of it as reality. Unless we're intentionally talking to ourselves, like, before I go watch this murder mystery, let me tell myself that I'm not actually there, because the subconscious is physically responding to all of that data coming in, even setting off the cortisol response of fight or flight, keeping us in chronic fight or flight because we're just so addicted to watching people kill each other on the screen. What do you think that's doing to the subconscious body? How do you think our long-term selves will respond to the bombardment of murder programming over time? But that's just what everyone wants to see. We want to see the action. We want to see the good guys versus the bad guys. We want to see war, war, war. Yeah. Well, that's a consequence of all the programming that's already happened. You know, it's not normal. It's not healthy for war to be a constant state. It's not healthy for us to be in a constant state of fight or flight. It's not healthy to see people kill each other, whether it is on screen or not. And best believe it is not the same in person, and it is still not good watching it through the screen. This does things to us. Whether we are aware of it will help us dissociate from the programming, in addition to assist in our sleep and wake cycles and pineal gland sensitivity. Abstaining, going through intentional moments, hours, days, even weeks of abstaining. I'll just throw this in here before I move on. I go through cyclical hibernations now. It's kind of funny. To me, I feel like a bear. Okay. I prioritize giving myself at least 4 days, a couple times a year, of turning the phone completely off. Turning the phone completely off. No TV, which I do not have them in my house. Now, in the cohabitating scenarios, it's a little different because not everybody is at this point where they can live without TV. That's a whole different ballgame. Being able to be at peace when you already know and someone else doesn't, and they're still totally engaged with the programming of the TV and the blue light. In any case, this hibernation, 4 days, this is something you can do. Find a way. 4 days, no phone, turn it all the way off. Turn the Wi-Fi off. Turn the TV off. All screens down. And not only does this help the physical body have an adjustment to the energy around it, but it gives us time to contemplate and connect with spirit, with our own and the spirit at large. It helps us realize that without those distractions, we have a lot more time on our hands. Okay, what are we going to do with that? Well, you know what I did? I became a guitarist. Like, I can play guitar now. I can sing now. I've created music. What do I do with all this spare time? I'm being a freaking boss. Those screens suck energy. They are vampiric in nature. And I know that there is good content out there, and I fully believe that, and I practice that in the content that I create too. So it is not all bad. But we really got to hone in. We got to pull the reins in here because it's kind of getting a little carried away. You all really want to get to Terminator? I know Arnold made it look cool, but you don't want to get to the point where the environment is desecrated and someone has to come back from the future to save your ass and you lose all your friends along the way. We don't want to get there. We don't want to get to that point. Okay? So anyways, I know we're getting a little passionate, a little excited about this, but we really like, oh, that movie is so cool. Oh yeah? Try to live it. You still feel that way? No, it sucks. Okay? We're imagining a different reality, a different future on Earth so we can freaking have nice lives and be in harmony with the planet, be at peace at large for a long time. We're not going to go to the Terminator. We're not going there. And this is how. By all of us decalcifying our pineal glands right now. So you got it. You got the fluoride-free toothpaste, purified alkaline water, intentional breathing practices, meditation, screen vacations, hibernating, tuning out to tune in and turn on. Next, consuming food that is not synthetic. And I'm just putting a warning out there. I've been seeing stuff about scientists. And not all scientists are this way, okay? We can't just call everybody the same science. I'm a scientist. I'm doing stuff much different than these people who are trying to make protein powder out of plastic. Listen, you don't want the plastic. The answer isn't to find something to do with the plastic. It's to find a way back from having to use it in the first place. Stopping the production of plastic. But I digress. Consuming what is natural. What is natural? Food of the earth. Not the food that came in the Lunchable at the store. And I've had them before too, okay? No judgment. I've been there. That's how I know what I know now. These kids, we got to teach them that food does not come from a truck. Food does not come from a plastic box. Food does not normally have synthetics in it. Food of the earth, of nature, of the trees, of the plants, from the ground. This is the food that will activate you into an awakening beyond what you can presently imagine. And you're ready. There are those out there who would like to control the food sources and keep us addicted to them, to keep us coming back with our dollars and to keep us from activating into our full potential because our pineal glands are freaking calcified. Our bodies aren't functioning properly on a cellular level because we have all this synthetic shit blocking us. To remove these from the body and to create space for nutritious, natural food to be ingested will help us on levels beyond what you know, what we know, what I know even, and I'm partially already down the road. You know what I'm saying? And not only will consuming natural foods help us internally, personally, individually, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and beyond, realizing that this is the food we need, that this is the food that is good for us, will help us understand the importance of healthy environments. And how do we fix that problem? How do we keep the soil from becoming even more depleted? How do we have an environment that can grow fruit trees and berry bushes and root crops? By planting the freaking food. The plants do this. The plants already rejuvenate the soil. We need more plants and less concrete. More plants, more space, more green space. We got to compost, people, and this is a next level practice, okay? But you can find a way to do it. I don't care if you're in an apartment or in a house, whatever. These community apartments, each one of them needs a compost station because each one of those community apartments could have a giant compost station from all of the people that live in the complex. Y'all be making your own soil, grow your own trees. Rejuvenate the soil, rejuvenate the water. When these plants are planted, they clean what flows through the grass and roots so that the water is clean. This is where all of our answers lie. Connecting to the earth, finding a way to compost, making your own soil, putting it back out into the earth, growing your own plants if you can, supporting people who can grow plants in the local community. And turning on through the consumption of those plants as the habitats become rehabilitated. All right, I know. It's a lot. This is next level. We're taking it to the next level. We cannot not be this way anymore. I cannot not be this way anymore. So here's another tip. Our environment has become especially contaminated since the Industrial Revolution with synthetics, with heavy metals, with chemicals in the food, in the water, in the soil. It's a mess. And because it's in the external environment, because it's in the food, because it's in the water, because it's in the soil, we are of the environment. We need the environment. This is epigenetics. We are genetically affected by the presence of these chemicals, heavy metals, and toxins in the environment. Because we live here. We are of it. Epigenetics, those things trigger different expressions of the DNA toward or away from health as they are present in the body. What can we do to rid ourselves of these heavy metals and chemicals and synthetics? There are natural heavy metal detoxes. I'm going to give you a hint right now. Now, look at me. Right now. This is a drink that helps with digestion as well as heavy metal detox. It's an apple cider vinegar drink. And I know some of y'all gonna be like, that's disgusting. Listen, if you can drink a shot of vodka, you can drink something that is actually good for you. This is how I look at it. I'm taking shots too. I do that too. It's not alcohol. It's freaking apple cider vinegar mixed with lemon and cayenne and turmeric and cinnamon. It's not something that you need to do every day for the rest of your life, but going through a cycle of having one of these drinks before each meal is going to help. Foot baths. How can we detoxify the heavy metals from our bodies? Get yourself a natural foot bath. I don't remember all the ingredients off the top of my head, but here are a few. Borax powder, baking soda, Epsom salt, and a few essential oils. Look something up. You'll be able to find something. And here's the thing too, not all of us need to use the same thing. You know, there are a lot of answers that can help detoxify the body, a lot of natural methods. And so you don't have to listen to what I'm saying specifically. Just do a search on your own and find your own way. I think that they have stuff to put on the feet at night to where it sucks all the stuff out of the body. I'm pretty sure you can even, now this, I haven't tried this, okay. But onion in your socks as you sleep. Again, I'd have to try that one out for myself. I don't usually tell people stuff I haven't tried on my own, but whatever, maybe one day. And also for detoxifying metals from the body, specific food ingredients, specific plants, specific herbs will help. They are called chelators. They bind to the heavy metals in the body so that they can be excreted. Cilantro is one of them. And if we are consistently eating natural foods of the earth, our bodies are able to recalibrate to where they can excrete that stuff consistently over time. You're going to blow your own mind by the changes that take place in the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies over time. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a lot of change. It's a metamorphosis. And some final notes, tips concluding the Awakening Audiobiography. We're going hard out here. I know it. Just to recap a couple topics that I feel are very important for us to know. Listen, death is normal. We all will die. Everything that is alive, everything that is alive has a shelf life. We don't need to be afraid to die. This is a natural part of the process. And because we are collectively and religiously so afraid of it, This causes disharmony within the body, being afraid to die, leading us to find anything we can to stay youthful forever, including adrenal growing. Okay, if you know, you know. That is an illness. To be so afraid of death that we would resort to anything to stay youthful forever, that is an illness. It's not the way the natural cycle goes. We will age, we will die, and that is okay. And the people around us who we love will age, will die, if they're lucky. And there are those traumatic events where someone gets killed or someone overdoses or someone commits suicide or, these traumatic events that are not supposed to really be part of their experience. But here we are. Those are tough. And death can be hard. But if we know in advance, if we accept that this is the way it is, we live and we die, and our spirits are eternal. And there's no reason to be afraid. And we will be welcomed home with open arms when it is time to transition. We will morph into the next state, the next stage, the next part of our spirit's evolution. We will remember radically. It is okay to die. And if we can alleviate some pain around that subject that is related to fear and loss and attachment, we will be much better off. And also, when loved ones die, it does open us to the spiritual realm more, what is unseen. The connection doesn't go away. That person you loved who passed, they are still with you. And love, this energy that connects people who are special to each other, cannot be broken. Next big one, sexuality. Everything alive is at least partially sexual. That's how it's still here. It reproduced. Everything. The plants have a sexual nature. All animals, including human, have a sexual nature about us. And it is healthy to have a positive sexual expression. And to also understand that it is possible and healthy to explore non-sexual energy. And there are relationships in our life which are purely non-sexual, although they came from a sexual beginning. I'm talking about in the family. Listen, sexual behavior in the family is such an interesting dynamic because as children, we are the product of love and sex. And also in the family, sex and the behavior around sex is unacceptable. So there's this sort of dichotomy going on to act that way within the family. And I know this is a heavy topic. This is incest right here. This is unhealthy. And I would bet that most of the time that type of instance would occur if someone is uneducated about sexual nature and if someone has never had the conversation of what is appropriate and what is not. And yet here we are, so advanced as we're just greater than we ever have been. And yet so many of us have suffered from sexual abuse outside or within the family because we have been programmed to be so afraid of ourselves. We can't even talk about it. We can't even express healthy sexual behavior without, some sort of social repercussion. We got to be able to talk about sex. We got to be able to express sexuality in a healthy way. We got to be able to let people know what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. And I'm talking about talking to your children. I'm talking about letting the kids know. And listen, parents, listen, teachers. Kids biologically will start feeling hormonal changes as early as 6. I know you don't want to hear it, but it is true. We need to have these conversations early, and we need to know what to say that is appropriate. And this is what is appropriate. Males and females biologically are different. We have different organs, different functions within our body that make us look and behave different from each other. It is natural to have sexual feelings about someone you care about, and it is not appropriate to have any sexual activity with someone who is of your bloodline. And sexual activity is not okay until one or both, whoever's in the party, reaches sexual maturity. And it is inappropriate for a full-blown adult to have any sexual engagement with someone who is not sexually mature. And I'm talking sexual maturity to the level of emotional sexual maturity, which is probably closer to 20 than it is 18, okay? These conversations have to be had, and they have to be had early. And we got to buck up and do it, because our culture is suffering for us not talking about it. Feel free to throw in any other things you think are appropriate or not appropriate. I know it's a hot topic. What are we going to do? Just leave it as the elephant in the room? Yeah, that's gone so well in the past. Finally, there are a couple other notes. I'm just giving you what I got. This is information that's very important. Challenging social programming. It is important at some point in our life that we go against our norm, that we go against the social programming. Because let's take this for example, American social programming as a female. No armpit hair. I know it sounds little, and some of y'all are like, if I saw a woman with an armpit hair, I'd be disgusted. That is your social programming. People in France do not feel that way because they have a more healthy relationship with sex itself and the natural body. But I digress. Let's say, for example, growing armpit hair as a female is a practice of challenging social programming. And listen, honey, when you start growing it, you're going to not only deal with other people who might feel shame towards you for that, you're going to deal with your own inner voice, your own inner critic. And then we realize, what is it that's so wrong about growing hair naturally? What is it that's so wrong? Meanwhile, buying a plastic razor every week or whatever, I don't know. I haven't purchased razors in a long time, okay? What is wrong with growing body hair? Nothing. I mean, we all have our preferences, and that's fine. You don't need to be attracted to everybody. Not everybody needs to be attracted to you. And honestly, practicing something that challenges social norm as little as armpit hair will give us the gumption to be able to face the larger issues that are counterculture, because parts of culture are sick. You going to go along with what's sick? Or are you going to buck up and find the strength to be able to challenge what the mainstream is telling you is right? This is a small practice. Grow your armpit hair. Try it out. Face those feelings. Face that mental game going on that's a result of what other people told you is right or wrong about what you do with your body. Do it. I go through cycles. I'll grow it out. I'll shave it after about 6 months. But, don't do it like me. Do it like you. All right. And this brings us to sovereignty and discernment. We talked about how we can't trust. Well, maybe we did that in the previous episode. Listen, there are people who don't have your best interests at heart. And we don't have to be friends with everybody. And we need to be able to practice discernment. Who we can trust, how we can trust them, how that is communicated to us that, yes, I do trust this and this is why, or I don't trust this and this is why. This is a journey in itself. and we're not always going to get it right. But this is wisdom over time from our collected experiences throughout our life. Sovereignty and discernment. Your body, you rule it. You are the ruler of your skin and everything in it. There's no one who has a right to tell you what to do with your body, although there are people, guides, teachers who want to give you information that would help you make decisions that can help you or manipulate you. And you, us, I have to be the one to make those choices for my body, for my skin, and my spirit that's contained within it. Sovereignty is very important. Now is the time to be empowered. Now is the time to reclaim all power. Now is the time to realize you are the boss. And because each of us are our own individual sovereign body rulers, that must mean that I cannot enforce my will upon another. I cannot enforce my beliefs on others to justify myself. I could try. It's not the direction to go in. This is what leads to collective war. We think, we point out, this is wrong here, this is wrong here, this is wrong here. And then we, try to convert other people to believing what we believe to validate ourselves? Because they were suffering so much before we got there. And wow, now we find ourselves in a world war. I don't know if you can hear that, but my stomach is rumbling. Because each of us are sovereign, we must realize that each of those outside of the individual body are also sovereign. We each are on our own path. And to enforce ourselves upon others or to allow the enforcement of others upon ourselves is not the road we want to go down. It doesn't work in the long term. Converting is not the route. Educating, sharing, tolerating, that sounds a lot better to me. Freaking listening, respecting. Listen, we don't have to have the same beliefs to get along. It's about how we treat other people, and we can treat people well using a variety of beliefs, a variety of, gods, religions, whatever. Just a couple more notes before we wrap up this final episode of podcast season 2, the Awakening Audiobiography on Light Diamond Creative YouTube channel. Your body is an altar. The physical and non-physical are so connected. If the physical body is an altar, how would we treat it? How would we serve ourselves? How would we make decisions if we realize that this is a sacred physical form containing a spirit? An extension of source, a perspective of the infinite in one body. That's what you are, aren't you? And so how would we treat ourselves? What is the love that we would give ourselves? And are we able to practice unconditional love with ourselves, loving ourselves without condition? Not if I did this, I love myself. Not if I did that, I don't love myself. I love myself no matter what. No matter what. What if we practice that with ourselves? And how will that translate to the way we are able to understand and treat others? And as we go down this path, as we clear ourselves out, creating space to embody our unique spirit, what are the repercussions of that? To be fully embodied, to be fully authentic, to be fully sovereign, to be fully peaceful. What are the results? What are the repercussions of that? What happens in the world when we are able to do that with the self? Because most of the problems we have with other people are problems we've got on ourselves. I don't like this in another person. You know what that tells me? I don't like that within myself. What am I going to do about it? Enforce something on this other person when I haven't even taken care of the energy within? No. Take care of the energy within. And then you won't have problems in the external. These are keys. Alignment and integration. Finally, this is the final note I will leave you with, and I hope it helps. It is a journey. Alignment is a process. Integrating what we know takes time. This is the information in the upper chakras, the crown chakras receiving all this information. You're getting so much good stuff right now, and in your journey, you've learned so much. We cannot let it stay idle in the mind. It must come down the spine, through the heart, and all the way into the root, and manifest in the physical reality. You know this now? Change. If you want to. You heard it. Fluoride-free toothpaste. You know it as a fact now. I would not tell anybody else about it until you try it for yourself. Try it for yourself. Get some fluoride-free toothpaste. That is the alignment. That is the integration. It doesn't stay in the spiritual realm. It comes to the physical. The practice. I'm sorry, my stomach is like rumbling so hard. I don't know if you can hear it or not. But the practice itself, this is the result of fully aligning and integrating. And then as we, decalcify the pineal gland through practices like the fluoride-free toothpaste, going to get a whole new set of information because the pineal gland will be more sensitive. It'll be able to perceive the subtle realms easier. You're going to get new information coming in to align with that will hopefully alter your actions that are in alignment with the information received that you resonate with. And integration does take time. It's a continuous process. This is lifelong. And it's important for us to practice this self-love and be patient with ourselves because, we're doing the best that we can. And it does take time. This is the evolution of the soul. It doesn't happen in a single instant. It happens in the eternity of all that is. It's a freaking process. So, self-love, patience, alignment, integration. Let's go. That is the final podcast episode 16 of the Awakening Audiobiography. And coming up next on Light Diamond Creative YouTube channel is a project I'm very much excited to share. It is called That Dark Night, a spoken word video series on Light Diamond Creative YouTube channel. It will be dropping Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, starting Monday, November 13th, 2023. These are the poems that I wrote in my dark night experience. And I'm sharing them not because what I say in the poems are necessarily right. I'm sharing because that dark night is part of the process. And although I am not where I was at then, I honor that portion, that phase, that stage that has been so crucial to my own personal awakening. That Dark Night. Spoken word video series, Light Diamond Creative YouTube channel, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, dropping weekly starting Monday, November 13th, 2023. I'll see you all then. Thanks for listening. I hope this helps. Peace.